Are you ready for some smart, plain talk on politics, Israel, and the law? It's the Andrew Parker Show. Let's roll. Welcome to another episode of the Andrew Parker Show. Thank you very much for joining us. Every episode we talk politics, Israel, and the law. And around the November period of time each year, it's unbelievable. It is pretty much each year. It's election season. So we talk politics, and we talk it quite a bit. This is not just an off-year election, but it's an off year. It's not a presidential. That happens every 4 years, and as you know, coming up in 2028. It's not a quote-unquote off-year election, which is every 2 years, electing House Representatives, the entire House, and usually a third of the U.S. Senate. That's coming up in 2026, a year from now at this time in November 2026. So what is this off-year election? Well, it's in the odd year, 2025, in this case, a year before the off-year elections, and there are certain states that might have gubernatorial elections. There are cities that might elect their local leaders, city council and mayors alike. And all of that happened in the last several days. And so let's do a little survey. Let's do a little run around the different competitive races. You've been reading about it, and the Dems are screaming and hollering about the great victory that they were able to secure. Oh, yes. Big victory. Big victory. They're cheering. But what does it tell us? We had the gubernatorial race in Virginia that the moderate Dem won. And I use the word moderate, even though where on the scale moderate falls has shifted in the Democratic Party, I would argue, has shifted far to the left. So moderate or centrist Democrats are now one-time very liberal Democrats. Now they're moderate and centrist. They're the sane ones, not the wokesters on the far left, the anti-Semites who are part of the party, but the more middle, the mainstream. Sadly, as I've talked about before, it appears that things have tipped. The scale has tipped, and we now may be in a place of no return for the Democratic Party, electing and becoming stronger socialists, anti-Israelites, anti-Zionists have taken a real hold of the party. But in Virginia and New Jersey, the Democrats beat the Republicans pretty soundly, and they were moderates. So there are many in the Democratic Party that are saying, our party is not lost. We are back. The moderates are back. I don't know so much if that's the case. Virginia and New Jersey are both Democrat states. They are both blue states. And the fact that the Democratic candidates for governor in both of those states won isn't hugely telling, although it does pour a bit of cold water on the Republicans who thought, the Dems are done. They're not going to win another election. No, they will win in blue states. And they are not done. Although it does appear that the party may be being taken over by the Democratic Socialists. Maybe. Well, let's take a look at that. The governors who won in Virginia and New Jersey were not Democratic Socialists of America. They were not Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez acolytes. However, the mayor of New York City certainly was, and he got elected as such. He got elected by attacking the state of Israel, by attacking the victim after October 7th. The moral corruption of it can't be overstated. And Mamdani is the poster child for an elected official who is openly anti-Semitic, openly anti-Zionist, openly supportive of the destruction of the state of Israel by virtue of things he has failed to say and some things that he, in fact, has said, particularly regarding boycott, divestment, and sanctions, which all are intended to destroy the state of Israel. That is who was elected mayor of New York City. It's astounding how ignorant so many are who hear, oh, we're going to create affordability and we're going to give you everything for free. We're going to destroy capitalism because we do not believe in it. And what does that mean? That means the exponential increase of the number of people in poverty. That's what that means. You think it's bad now? Wait how bad it will become if Mamdani's ideas take hold. And they have taken hold in a number of places across the country. And now I turn to what I also want to talk about today, not just the general overall view of the Democratic Party and what the outcomes tell us about the Democratic Party. I would say the primary thing it tells us is the Democratic Party is not done yet. Democrats can beat Republicans. Democratic Socialists of America have a stronghold, a foothold at least, in the Democratic Party and arguably are taking over the party. They are not going to go away soon, easily, quickly. And so what that means and whether or not Democratic Socialists can beat Republicans, in many places they can. Nationwide, not yet, for sure. How do we know that? Well, take a look at the city of Minneapolis. And don't let the media or those on the far left understate what happened in the city of Minneapolis. As exciting or excited as Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez types and the Democratic Socialists of America are after the win by Mamdani in New York, they should be concerned about what occurred in Minneapolis. It was a repudiation, not an entire slapdown, no, but it was a repudiation of what was going on in the city of Minneapolis and the direction it was taking. There can be no doubt about that. And frankly, in the Twin Cities, because it happened in St. Paul by removing the mayor and replacing him with someone who is a bit more centrist than the mayor in St. Paul, Melvin Carter. He lost to someone who is a bit more common sense and a bit more centrist, more moderate, to the right of where he is. And Jacob Frey, who won in the city of Minneapolis, despite all the headwinds that he had. He won because his opponent was rejected for his affiliation and connection to Democratic Socialists of America. Now, Mamdani was able to carry New York because of that connection, sadly. But that may be an anomaly. I don't know. It may not be. But in Minneapolis, it was a rejection of the DSA by the election of Mayor Jacob Frey. But more than that, and do not allow this to be understated. The 13-member city council was restructured, reformed by who was elected to each of those 13 seats in this election. The overall picture, it used to be that the city council was controlled by policies of the Democratic Socialists of America. Policies that I talked about on the last episode prior to the election and how dangerous those policies are. They are entirely anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, anti-Jewish. But beyond that, they hurt everyday Minneapolitans, Twin Cityans, both in Minneapolis and St. Paul. The Democratic Socialists of America policies hurt. And they had a veto-proof majority because Frey was vetoing things that were coming out of the city council, and the city council would reverse those vetoes. And Frey could do little about it. Well, now he can do something about it. Rather than having, about 8 members fairly consistently voting together against Jacob Frey, there are now only 6 who ascribe or are connected with the Democratic Socialists of America. Now only 6. And there are 6 who are connected to Jacob Frey and that he fully supported their elections. That's 12. And then there is what appears to be the swing voter on the city council in the city of Minneapolis now, Jamal Osman, who represents the 6th Ward in the Cedar Riverside area, a large population of Somali Americans that Mr. Osman represents. We're going to try to get Mr. Jamal Osman on the Andrew Parker Show coming up. But again, 6-6 on the rest of the vote. Who is going to be the president of the council, as the Minneapolis City Council will be voting on that at the beginning of their term? It has been Elliot Payne of the 1st Ward in the city of Minneapolis, a consistent voter with the Democratic Socialists of America agenda, and Payne was president of the city council. An important role, sets the agenda. But I don't think Payne will get any of the 6 votes that are in the quote-unquote Frey camp. And none of the others who are connected with the DSA are going to get any of those 6 votes. And so Osman will have a key vote to make 7 for selection of the president of the city council. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. And now, a word from our sponsors. A record of success second to none. Parker Daniels Keyboard Law Firm, the numbers tell the story. The last 5 cases our lawyers have brought to trial have resulted in million and multi-million-dollar verdicts for our plaintiff clients and 0 defense verdicts for our defense clients. Put simply, we try cases and we win cases. Hi, I'm Andrew Parker. At Parker Daniels Keyboard, we take our work personally and we go the extra mile. That is why some of the biggest law firms, locally and nationally, send cases to us to handle when they can't. If you have a challenging and critically important business or personal legal dispute that must be favorably resolved, whether regarding a contract matter, a business divorce, a real estate dispute, an employment dispute, a civil rights or defamation matter, plain talk, if it's a big deal, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com. Looking to reduce your tax liability and grow your portfolio? Consider Texas-based Texacoma Resources. They have been delivering results for over 40 years in energy investments. Investors may benefit with strategic advantages like depreciation, depletion, and drilling, but should consult their tax advisors for their specific situation. Call True North Investment at 612-968-3442 to learn more. That's True North Investment, 612-968-3442. Texacoma Energy that works for you. So in this election, you had all 13 seats up. 3 of them were open seats because the incumbents were not running. 10 of them, incumbents were running. And the incumbents were reelected in 9 of those 10. But in 1 of those 10 with incumbents running, the incumbent lost. And she voted often with the Democratic Socialists of America, and she lost. It was a repudiation. The person who beat her was clearly running as a supporter of Jacob Frey, as a common sense DFL member, as someone who wasn't anti-business and isn't going to be. She's going to be an excellent member of the Minneapolis City Council. And she flipped that seat. And what about the 3 open seats? How did those go? Well, 2 of them went for the Jacob Frey group and campaigned against the Democratic Socialists of America agenda. One of them, Soren Stevenson in the 8th Ward, is much more closely aligned with the DSA and may well vote consistently with them. We'll see how long he lasts in that ward, Ward 8. But the point is, 2 of the 3 open seats went to common sense, good government side of the equation, and only 1 went to the DSA, and this other seat was flipped. And so what was a veto-proof majority for those on the far left in the city of Minneapolis no longer is. And this is a big, big deal. And the fact that both the mayor of Minneapolis and the mayor of St. Paul are much more mainstream Democrats. The Republicans really don't have play in the 2 highly, very, very liberal cities in the metropolitan area in Minnesota. Yeah, they really don't have play. So it's going to be a Democrat who's going to be the mayor. It's been 60-plus years since a Republican was mayor in the city of Minneapolis, I believe. So Jacob Frey winning, the candidate who defeated Melvin Carter in St. Paul, common sense, a bit to the right of Melvin Carter, winning as mayor in St. Paul. And then, most importantly, the newly aligned city council in the city of Minneapolis was altogether, if you view it, I think it's fair to say, was a repudiation to some extent of the Democratic Socialists of America. Yes, they were able to retain 6 seats on the 13-seat city council, but that will not cause their policies to be adopted, enacted. I will tell you that when you look at the Republicans, when you're looking nationally, I have one final comment. The Republican Party, don't rest on your laurels at all, because I think you may well be in a bit of trouble. Looking at the midterm elections, which come down the pike here in 1 year, 1 short year. Yes, it's always headwinds for the party who holds the White House in an off-year election, which in this case is the Republican Party, Donald Trump, President of the United States. In the off-year election, the Republican Party should lose seats. Now, everyone's saying, wow, the Democratic Party is lost. They aren't connected to people. They've got these crackpot crazy ideas. They've shut down the government, et cetera, et cetera. Well, they just won in Virginia and New Jersey. And I will tell you what the biggest headwind is. In normal years in the off-year election, it's a headwind against the party who's in the White House. It's even worse this time. Why? Because Donald Trump is not on the ticket. And the only way Donald Trump was elected in 2024, obviously he was on the ticket, but he had great energy for the Republican Party. And it's the way that the House and the Senate fell to the Republicans, along with Donald Trump winning the presidency. Without Donald Trump on the ballot, will people show up? Will they show up? Will Republicans show up in the type of numbers that they need in order to hold the House, to hold the Senate, when Donald Trump is not on the ticket? And it's simply a vote for a Republican. And my answer to that is I don't think they will show up. And it's not just the standard Republican president. This is the unique Republican president. In fact, he disagrees with many of the policies of Republicans that Republicans now have. J.D. Vance and he seem to disagree on Middle East policy. Tucker Carlson clearly disagrees with Donald Trump on Middle East policy. Donald Trump is not just the leader of the Republican Party. He is the leader of Trumpism. He is the leader of MAGA. Maybe he's the leader of the Republican Party, but what the Republicans end up doing after Donald Trump is gone is going to be very interesting. Are they going to be able, this is the question, are they going to be able to energize their base, the base that Donald Trump put together as a coalition to defeat the Democrats? He may have been the only man to be able to do that. If another Republican attempted to, I dare say it may not have worked. It may not have been possible, and White House may have gone to the blue team. Remember, he did win all 7 swing states. He did win a majority of the vote. However, would that have happened if it weren't Donald Trump? Interesting question. When you look at the total number of votes in the 7 swing states that Donald Trump won by, and you figure out how those votes might have flipped, I think it's about 150,000 votes that allowed him to win those states. Total. Flipping. And if you don't get those huge, enormous, energized Trump supporters out, the supporters that for many, many years didn't vote, those who don't show up at midterm elections because Donald Trump is not on the ballot, those who are Donald Trump supporters first. Not so much Republicans. Certainly not mainstream Republicans, but may not be Republicans at all. They're Donald Trump supporters. If you don't have him on the ballot, you can get beat by the Blues, by the blue team. No question. And so the headwinds are strong a year from now when he will not be on the ballot. Yet we need people to go out if the red team expects to win and vote Republican. We'll see if that energy exists. I'm not so sure. However, common sense, while it didn't rain in the city of New York, and it's not surprising what occurred in Virginia and New Jersey, what happened in the city of Minneapolis, one of the most far-left cities in the entire country, certainly in the top 5, maybe in the top 2, a rejection of the Democratic Socialists of America, at least a pushback. They had control. They don't anymore. At best, they're even with Frey in the mayor's seat. No, it was a good day for Minnesota. And I suggest again to you to go to theandrewparkershow.com, click on resources. You'll see some various resources, recommendations for you to read and to watch, including the Precarious State documentary created by Rick Capcella, who was on the show a couple episodes ago. You should take a look at that. The Precarious State. You can go to precarioustate.com and get the documentary as well there. But go to the Andrew Parker Show, subscribe, follow us. Let us know what your email is, and we'll include you, and you'll have the episode drop each week, so you can take a look at it at your leisure. It was a big election. It was an instructive election, educating us on the fact that in some respects we've tipped over, like in New York City. It's going to be very difficult, but we'll see what Mamdani ends up doing there. But it looks like we have a reprieve, and hopefully with the next election, we will have a full repudiation of the Democratic Socialists of America, which needs to happen in this country for the betterment of all. Until next time, be kind to your neighbor. Thank you once again for joining us. For more Smart Plain Talk, go to theandrewparkershow.com. Learn about all of your listening and viewing options. And remember, all the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, hope. This episode of The Andrew Parker Show is sponsored by Parker Daniels Keyboard and True North Private Investments.
Did your employer make you sign a promissory note when joining the company, and now you want to leave, but you're afraid your firm will pursue you personally for that debt? This is Jesse Keyboard from the law firm Parker Daniels Keyboard. I recently represented a client who had signed such a note, and I was able to get them out of their $500,000 debt to their company, which allowed them the freedom to exit a bad employment situation and enter a much better one. Meeting our clients' objectives is our focus at Parker Daniels Keyboard, and in this regard, we win. Our experienced trial team of lawyers at Parker Daniels Keyboard have secured major victories in state and federal courts across the country and through arbitration. We have the legal expertise in all types of business disputes, labor and employment matters, real estate matters, shareholder disputes, financial transactions, security issues, and appeals. For wise counsel, winning results, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard, a premier litigation law firm that provides efficient, aggressive, and innovative solutions to complex legal problems. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com.
Looking to reduce your tax liability and grow your portfolio? Consider Texas-based Texacoma Resources. They have been delivering results for over 40 years in energy investments. Investors may benefit with strategic advantages like depreciation, depletion, and drilling, but should consult their tax advisors for their specific situation. Call True North Investment at 612-968-3442 to learn more. That's True North Investment, 612-968-3442. Texacoma Energy that works for you.